Hey everyone, you're listening to Party Time, My Golf Story with Kevin Walsh, and whatever special guest he has today, you can check me out on episode 9 of the podcast. Today I'm wearing Grayson clothes while I'm out practicing because I believe in look good, play good, and follow me on Instagram, Sophia Warren Golf, and hope you enjoy the rest of the show.
It's Party Time, My Golf Story, brought to you by Party Drinks. Classically designed golf drinks for golfers by golfers. And the golf real estate pros Gene Walsh and Vince Visicaro. For your Southwest Florida real estate needs, check them out at suncoastdreams.com. Now here's your host, Kevin Walsh.
Hey, welcome to the program. We have a really special guest, and he kind of falls in line with a theory that I have about life, and maybe you share it too. If you can't get close to somebody of influence or one of your heroes, but you really want to know what makes them tick, find out who their friends are, because their friends know. And if they're generous and they have good stories to tell, they'll share them with you. And that's what Dr. Howdy Giles is going to talk to us about today. Who is Howdy Giles? He's a retired dentist. He owned a bar in Wilmington, Delaware. He was Arnold Palmer's unofficial photographer, although I don't know exactly what unofficial means. I mean, he may have been the official photographer. Took over 250,000 photographs of Arnold Palmer, very close friend of his. And we're going to talk about Howdy's life and his life with the King. Howdy is also the author of this book, The King and I, An Unlikely Journey from Fan to Friend. Now, it's a small, I can't get the camera right, but you get the gist of the cover. Fantastic book. It was published in 2009. It absolutely stands the test of time. I would suggest you read it because if you're a big fan of Arnold, and I don't know anybody that isn't a fan of Arnold Palmer, you will absolutely love that. A couple housekeeping things. I wanted to bring you up to date on how we're doing with the podcast, and I always ask the favor. I put it out there at the very beginning. Would you please subscribe to the podcast and like the podcast? The analytics are very important. Google keeps an eye on that. YouTube keeps an eye on that. Our sponsors want to know how it's doing, and it's doing great. But we need that little favor of you, okay? And a big thanks to our title sponsor, Party Drinks. If you're looking for a drink alternative on the golf course and you're tired of beer, if you're tired of hard seltzers named after different things and everything, try a Party. For golfers, by golfers. It makes all the difference. It is the smoothest, ready-to-drink canned cocktail out there, and I think you'll love it. I got a whole shelf of them behind me right here. And if your dream is to live in a golf course community, a golf resort area, especially around the greater Sarasota area, there's nobody better than the golf real estate pros at suncoastdreams.com, a division of Fine Properties. Vince Visicaro and Gene Walsh. They live at Lakewood National Golf Club, where we record this podcast from. They can help you out. And there are some 50 properties available. 2 Arnold Palmer design golf courses. How about that? We're going to talk about Arnold Palmer. I live on an Arnold Palmer design golf course, and there's another one in my complex. So there's nothing better. It's the best golf community in America. All right. So I think that takes care of the housekeeping duties as best we can. Here's the man, Howdy Giles. Howdy. We've been working on this for a while. I'm so glad that I finally got you on the podcast because you're a fascinating person and you've been around fascinating people. But let's start with you before we get into your book and life right alongside the king of golf, the greatest ambassador golf has ever known. But let's talk about you, your name. What is your given name, Howdy?
Our real name is Howard Cameron Giles Jr. And when Howdy Doody was on TV in the early 50s, I just stuck with Howdy rather than Howard. Somebody calls me Howard, I want to turn around.
So Howdy it is, and everybody knows you as such.
Yeah.
Where are you joining us from right now? Where's home for you?
Wilmington, Delaware.
Born and raised in Wilmington, or you just kind of ended up there?
I was born and raised in Wallingford, Pennsylvania, went to Nether Providence High School, graduated in 59, went to the University of Delaware, met my wife there, and that's just history. Went to Temple Dental School in Philadelphia. Got married in dental school to Carolyn Bodorf from Dover, Delaware. And when I was in dental school, I dreamed I'd meet Arnie, play golf with him, and be his dentist, and it all happened. And that only happens in the United States.
It does, and there's a lot to unpack there. So let's. When was the first time that you saw Arnold in the flesh, and how did that spark? How was that the kindling spark, which became the friendship that it was for so many years?
In 1968, my wife and I went up to Philadelphia Golf Classic, and Arnie was playing, and Bob Hope was the sort of like the MC and everything. Bob Hope laid on the ground. And, we had Arnold Palmer lay on the ground, and Bob Hope was going to hit a golf ball out of a tee in his mouth. So my wife got his autograph. So that's how it sort of started.
And it started that way. And what's the story about Atlantic City where he was a grand marshal in a parade, and that was the very first photograph that you took of Arnold Palmer?
A good friend of mine in dental school, his father worked for General Motors, and he had a box seat on the first row of Atlantic City for General Motors. So Arnie's coming down the back seat of a Cadillac, sitting up in the back of the Cadillac, and Winnie Palmer's sitting in the car, and her two daughters are in the car, and I yelled, "Arnie," and he turned around and just waved, and I had a little Kodak camera at the time.
And did it feel like, help me out with something, because I know a lot of people have met Arnold before, and I met him in person 24 years ago at Pebble Beach, and he made me feel like I was the only person in the world. He was focused on me. Did you get some of that on that day, or did it come later?
That's exactly what it did. When my wife and I started going to the Masters in 68, we were on the second hole, and he come over and shook our hands, said hello. It's an amazing person.
And that was the start. But how did the friends? It was more the wives that made it happen.
You're right. Exactly. Carolyn and Winnie hit it off really well. And when the girls were going to college, they wanted to go to Wake Forest. Like Robin in school, she was a smart girl anyway. And both daughters went to Wake Forest.
All because of Arnold. Man, he has touched your family in so many different ways. And then, so you made it, and then the friendship blossomed, and then you later became like Arnold's guest at the Masters.
They did.
With him.
Got tickets. I'm a dentist in the Navy. And my buddy told me where to write to get tickets and everything. I did that. Tickets were $20 a ticket. I'll let you know February 1st whether you get tickets or not. So February 1st, my buddy got the word he didn't get tickets. He said, "Howdy, I didn't get tickets, but if I didn't get them, I know you're not going to get them." I said, "Pete, I got a gut feeling I'm going to get them." Next day, I got my 2 tickets. I said, "Pete, I got my tickets, $20 a ticket. I got them." He tried for 5 more years to get them. He finally did get them.
And what was it like going to the Masters? I've never set foot on the grounds, and I almost feel like that is...
that's a bucket list thing. You got to do that.
Oh, right? I know. Do you know something? Can you help me out here? I mean, I just feel like I'm doing my own golf heritage or lineage a disservice, and the same with Ireland, and the same with Scotland. But when you're on there, is there just a feel unlike any other place?
It really is. I mean, and we went in 1968. We're following Arnie. Back then, even the par 3, it was wide open for everybody. Now they sell tickets just for the par 3. Back then, they didn't. Everything was included in your ticket.
And
so we just follow Arnie.
Yep, keep going.
And so the first day, Carolyn was pregnant. She was 6 months pregnant with her oldest daughter, who's now 56. And her ankle swelled from retaining fluid. So she said, "I can't walk tomorrow." So she bought a little master's stool and sat on a 9 and 18. Arnie came through and had no hats or hips swelled up to a point, and swollen ankle, swollen point. she made it.
And it was worth it. So would you call, was Arnold your best friend? How close of a friend was he?
After I'm doing his dentistry and everything, I mean, we became very good close friends. I said Winnie would call once a week, if not every other week, to check on the girls and everything. Winnie and Carolyn were very good friends. And when they got in Wake Forest, I mean, we loved everything that happened with our relationship. We got a Christmas card in 1981 from the Palmers. The condo beneath us has become available, and we'd love to have the Giles as neighbors. I said to Carolyn, I said, I don't care what that condo costs, I'm buying it. So I bought the condo right underneath Arnie, and all my buddies would come down and stay, and Arnie come down and have a drink with them. Doesn't get any better than that, Mike.
No, it doesn't. I've heard similar stories about Arnold just walking in 19th holes of different clubs, and he just asked people, "Can I sit down and have a beer with you?" Does that sound about right? Do you have a few of those stories?
That's what he do. He come over, introduce himself, he say, "Hi, I'm Arnold Palmer." And oh yeah, hi Arn. That's how much fun he was.
So let me go back a little bit. Like the story becoming his dentist. Like, how does, like, he doesn't just show up in your office one day and ask if you'll clean his teeth. There's more to it. Why don't you tell me that?
Well, we got to meet. I joined Bay Hill in '73. It cost $250 for me to join. I played the member guest in '73. Took a buddy of mine named Cliff Angelotti down to play with me in the first member guest. Arnie bought our team. It was a Calcutta. The Calcutta went up to $38,000. Hey, Arnie bought us for $650, so we bought half our team. My buddy Cliff says, "We're going to win this thing." Well, we didn't finish first or second. We finished next to last. Anyway, we got a great relationship going then.
So over the years, you took 250,000 photographs. Yeah. How much of those were film, and when did you switch over to digital?
I didn't switch to digital until probably when digital came out. So I'm not sure what year that was, but my wife told me to put all the photos in shoe boxes. So we just moved, and I had to clean out all the shoe boxes and everything. And so shoe boxes were a lot more trouble with film than the digital. Digital was very easy to use.
Tell me the story about going on his plane for the first time, because he kind of graduated through different planes. He started out with propeller planes and then got up to Citations and I think Gulfstreams in the end. Do you remember your first ride on the airplane with him?
That's a great question, but I do remember this flight because Arnie said in 68's our first Masters. In 86, he says, "Howdy, why don't you and Carolyn fly to Augusta with me?" I said, "Arnie, we'd love to. Let me ask Carolyn, see what she says." So Carolyn said, "I don't want to fly with Arnie. You fly with him and I'll drive up." So it's a 7-hour drive from Orlando to Augusta. So I fly up with Arnie at that time. And anyway, who won in 68? Jack. So we're following Arnie.
86. This was 86. That you were...
Nicholas won in 68.
Right.
In 86.
Okay. Right.
So we're following Greg Norman, who lived at Bay Hill. And nothing happened. He was the leader at the time. But anyway, here's this huge yell on 15. We walked from 13 over to 15, and Jack had hit it about 15 feet for eagle. I said, "Let's go across 15," which we did. Jack makes the eagle putt. I said, "I'm not walking all the way down 16 because that's another direction. Let's walk across 17." So go across 17, and the yell goes for 2 minutes. I said, "Jack's either made a hole in one or a birdie." Well, he hit it 2 feet, made birdie. So we're to the left of 17 now, and this huge crowd is probably 50 yards to our right, and a ball landed right between my wife's feet and the little master's stool. I said, "Hon, I think that's Jack's drive." Now the gallery knows it's Jack's drive, so they come running to us. So on my phone, I have a picture. I told this story to other friends, and they saw it on TV. There we were. So Karen says, "What if Arnie sees us on TV?" I said, "He won't see us on TV." So on Tuesday, I get a phone call from Arnie. I fly to Augusta. "Why were we following Jack?" I said, "We weren't following Jack. It just happened." He shot. So I've got it on my cell phone, that photo. That's
a great story. So he's like, "I fly on the plane and you're following Jack around. Thanks a lot." Thanks a lot. How many rounds of golf? Dr. Howdy Giles is our guest here on Party Time, brought to you by Party Drinks. If you're looking for an alternative on the golf course to a beer or a hard seltzer, Party is for you. And a big thanks to our our real estate pros from suncoastdreams.com. If your dream is to live in Southwest Florida, especially in the Sarasota area, on an Arnold Palmer designed golf course, Lakewood National is the place for you. And nobody better at the golf real estate than the team of Vince Visicaro and Gene Walsh from suncoastdreams.com, a division of Fine Properties. So how many rounds of golf would you say you've played with Arnold, and what's that like, Howdy?
My first round of golf was in 1976 with Arnie. I drove up to Latrobe the night before, my wife and I, and we were teeing off the next day at 1. I couldn't sleep playing golf the next day with Arnie, so I get up about 6:30, get up and get dressed, and my wife says, "Why are you getting up so early?" I said, "Well, I just can't sleep." So I went down, had breakfast, and then I came back up. My wife said, "Will you get back in bed?" So I laid in bed with my golf clothes on and go play with Arnie. We played with his insurance agent, Danny Bonar, and then the CEO of Westinghouse. Anyway, that's who we played with. And my wife videoed it back then. It's a Super 8 movie film. And so we had a little bet going. So I did the movie of me just playing against Arnie. Batch play, so I beat him 1-up. So I won $10.
Wow.
I played with him about 300 times.
And what was it like? Was it competitive? Was it social? Was it? I imagine it was fun as hell. Why don't you
Very
tell
social.
me? Mm-hmm.
Very social. But Arnie, we had a little bet. He just liked to have fun. And my son-in-law and I, Dave Alley, were playing in the shootout with him one day, and Arnie said, on the 6th hole, the one around the water at Bay Hill, where DeChambeau drove over the water, Arnie goes, "What'd you make there?" I said, "A 3. He said, "You made eagle?" I said, "Yeah, hold a wedge." He didn't see me make the wedge, but I did. And then my son-in-law made birdie. So with the Giles and Alley team, made birdie eagle.
That's good stuff. That's really good stuff. Help me out with something. It seems like everybody who's met Arnold has a story where they were just captivated by the attention that he gave, and just how it as much as you're stunned to meet him at first and maybe a little bit nervous, he puts you at ease.
He puts you at ease.
How did he do that?
You put your hand on your shoulder. I say, "Arnie, I'm really nervous." Put your hand on your shoulder and just calm down, relax. And that's hard to do. So we had dinner with Jack Lemmon one night at the PGA in '83. So I said, "Jack, have you ever played with Arnie?" He said, "Oh, back then in 1973, I was a movie star. And I'm playing with Arnie and I'm a nervous wreck." And Arnie did the same thing to him, put his hand on his shoulder, said, "Just calm down, Jack, and have a good time." Jack Lemmon was so nice. So much fun.
I interviewed Pete Oakley. Do you know Pete? He won the U.S. Senior British Open Club Pro.
Yeah,
another Delaware guy. Okay, so he was a guest a couple weeks back, and he was telling me that he was at like the MasterCard Tournament of Champions in Hawaii, and he was in a hot tub, and Arnold, and I don't know if Winnie was still alive or if it was Kit. He basically crashed Pete's hot tub party. I mean, does that sound like the kind of thing that Arnold would do?
Yeah.
He's just the kind of guy that he would make himself at ease and at home wherever he was, but everybody wanted to welcome into his home.
Sure.
He was said, and I'll give you, I know of one example. When I lived and worked in Hawaii for the CBS affiliate, KGMB there, our sports anchor at the time told me a story about Arnold where he met him almost 20 years apart, and he met him on Jacksonville Beach or Ponte Vedra Beach. So it was alongside the Players Championship at the time. And then he met him years later, and he was retelling Arnold the story about where they met. And Arnold started retelling him the story and remembering it in detail. And he couldn't believe that Arnold. I mean, How did he have that kind of memory, or was he just blessed with it?
It's amazing because a friend of mine, I was on the USGA junior committee, and one of my buddies called from Detroit. He said, "Howdy, we're around the table here, and the guys are asking the question about such and such a date and everything." So I called Arnie. He remembered everything. Who he played with, etc. Amazing.
What was his plane like, and what was it like? Were you riding in the back, or were you riding up in the cockpit when he was
That's
piloting
funny.
the thing?
So when I would fly with him, he'd let me come up front, and I just hang on the back of his seat and take off. It was a Citation 10. It was his last plane. And you talk about leaving out Wilmington Airport to go down back to Orlando. He takes the jet off, and the pilot says, Peter Luster was a pilot at that time. He said, "We're at 9.2 at Mach and accelerating." Incredible.
Just fast. He liked to go fast.
He just liked to go fast.
Yeah. And he was a good pilot too. He was
a very good pilot. He started flying in 1957.
Did you ever fly with him and Jack? And are you familiar with of the story? Like when they would do their like boondoggle things, like up north, and Arnold would fly from Orlando to Palm Beach, and he would call Barbara Nicholas and say, "Okay, I'll be there in like 20 minutes." And Jack was dropping the kids off at school. Like a couple of years into this, Barbara asked, and this is in Michael Bamberger's book, Men in Green, which is a fabulous read as well. She said, "Jack, when you and Arnold go on these trips, who's the pilot?" And Jack goes, "Arnold." And she said, No, I know he owns the plane, but who flies the plane?" Jack's like, "Arnold." And then she's like, "Well, then who's the co-pilot?" He's like, "I guess me." She didn't know. It was just the two of them flying side by side. Did you ever spend any time with Jack because of Arnold and their friend? I didn't know how good of friends they were until I read Men in Green, and Michael Bamberger spelled it out. All the time they spent together, most of it in the air.
I never rode with Jack and Arnie. Gary Player was in the plane when we were flying one time.
What was that like?
Gary's a neat guy. I mean, he was fun to be with, and Jack was sort of quiet.
Wow. Okay. Becoming Arnold's dentist. Do you remember the first time you looked? How did that happen? And then what was it like the first time having him in your chair, opening his mouth? Were you nervous?
When I was in the Navy, I was working on admirals. And then I got nervous. Working on Arnie was a piece of cake. He was a great patient. And piece of cake. I mean, he's good. He was a great patient. He really was. So his dentist, when I met his dentist, who's in my book, Benny Tack, I only met him through the member guests at Bay Hill and Latrobe. I said, "Benny, I always dreamed I'd be Arnie's dentist someday." He said, "He's been a patient of mine since he was 3. He's a pen in and rear end. But you can have when I die." He died the next year.
Oh my goodness! So you inherited him, essentially.
So then Arnie called the office on a Monday. Said, "Howdy, don't do anything special for me, but I can't let you know till Friday whether I can come or not, like on next Monday." So I told my wife he's not going to call till he can. Anyway, he called Friday night at 10 o'clock at night. We have 3 other guest couples at the house for dinner. And Carolyn answers the phone. And the first thing she says to Arnie, "Well, are you coming?" He says, "I'm coming, put Howdy on." So I get on the phone. He's going to play Wilmington Country Club with me and a couple other buddies. So Ed Stegmeyer and Irv Thomas played with Arnie. And just a great day. And he came back to the house and had dinner.
But if he needed like his regular 6-month checkup or teeth cleaning, is he flying up from Orlando to Wilmington just for that, or is he always finding other stuff to do?
No, he would do that. He'd fly up. His wife had her teeth cleaned as well, and even the pilot had his teeth worked on.
Oh, so there was some value in the trip. Like everybody, yeah. Okay, I got
everybody came.
But would he just sit in your waiting area and read magazines until it was his
first
turn?
Thing Arnie said, I had a large group practice. There's 4 of us that started. And anyway, Arnie said, "Don't let me wait in the waiting room. Then he comes through the back door. So the first time he came, Bill Berge was an all-pro linebacker for the Eagles, and Berge wanted to meet Arnie. So anyway, Berge at the back door when Arnie came back through the back door. They're pretty cool.
And was Bill thrilled? I mean, Bill was, he was an all-pro. Like, I wouldn't think he'd be nervous, but what was his reaction to seeing Arnold at your office?
Bill loved to hang with Arnie. I mean, he really did. He's a big guy, and he came around back of Arnie, picked Arnie up in the air.
Well, Arnie probably could have picked Bill up in the air too, because he did
that once too. And he said, I bet you didn't think I could do that, did you? He picked Berge up too.
I'm not surprised. Hands, like the strongest hands. I thought he crushed my hand when he shook it. Right.
Huge forearms.
That too. I want to ask you a story about him picking up gold. I don't know if you know that, but we're getting a little tight on time here. Okay. Are you good to do a part two?
I'll do part two.
Okay.
I'm enjoying your company, Mike.
I'm enjoying your company too. Call me Kevin. My friends do. And Mike, my younger brother, is going to be thrilled that you're calling me Mike. This is a good time. Our guest here on Party Time is Dr. Howdy Giles. He was Arnold Palmer's dentist and a good friend of his. He is the author of the book, The King and I, An Unlikely Journey from Fan to Friend. So we'll cut it off here. I want to thank our sponsors, Party Drinks. If you're looking for a drink alternative on the golf course, nobody better than Party Drinks, the smoothest, finest spirits that you will find in any golf ready to drink can. Better than anything, hard seltzer, whatever it is. This is a drink for you. And a big thanks to our title sponsor. A big thanks to our golf real estate pros from suncoastdreams.com. Gene Walsh and Vince Visicaro, the golf real estate pros. If your dream is to live in an Arnold Palmer designed golf community like Lakewood National, they can help you out. For Howdy Giles, I'm Kevin Walsh. We'll see you again next time on Party Time, My Golf Story.
You've been listening to It's Party Time, My Golf Story, brought to you by Party Drinks. Classically designed golf drinks for golfers by golfers, and the golf real estate pros Gene Walsh and Vince Visicaro. For your Southwest Florida real estate needs, check them out at suncoastdreams.com or call 941-220-4000.
This is Vince Visicaro and Gene Walsh with the suncoastdreams.com real estate team at Fine Properties. We've helped hundreds of families find their dream homes in golf and resort communities in Lakewood Ranch, Bradenton, Sarasota, Parrish, Venice, and the surrounding areas.
Let us be your guides to finding your dream home here as well. Learn more at suncoastdreams.com or call us at 941-220-4000.